A substitute told me to go back to my country and immediately regretted it. The substitute was taking attendance when she got to my name and butchered the pronunciation so badly that a few kids laughed. She looked up and scanned the room. Is that supposed to be a name? I raised my hand and told her how to say it correctly. She raised her eyebrows. That's an interesting accent. Where are you from? I told her Guatemala and she nodded slowly. Let's see how your English is. Page 47, first paragraph, read. I found the page and started reading out loud, but I stumbled over the word agricultural and she stopped me. I'm sorry, what? I tried again and she shook her head. One more time, slower. I could feel my face getting hot. I tried a third time and she laughed out loud. Does anyone speak whatever language that was? I couldn't understand a single word. A few kids shifted in their seats, but nobody said anything. She walked toward my desk. How long have you been in this country? I told her 3 years. 3 years? 3 years? And you still sound like you just crawled across the border yesterday? What exactly have you been doing in our schools this whole time besides stealing a seat from a student who actually deserves it? I told her I was trying my best, and she crouched down next to my desk so she was eye level with me. Your best is pathetic. You're in a classroom with American students who have been speaking English their whole lives and you can barely form a sentence. She stood up and addressed the class. Raise your hand if you think it's unfair that she gets extra time on tests while the rest of you actually have to work for your grades. A few hands went up slowly and she smiled. See, everyone knows you don't deserve to be here. I'm just the only one honest enough to say it to your face. She turned back to me. This is an advanced English class. Do you even know what advanced means, or is that word too hard for you too? A couple kids in the back laughed and she fed off it. You don't belong in this class, you don't belong in this school, and you sure as hell don't belong in this country. I could feel tears burning behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. She leaned in closer so only I could hear. You want to know what I really think? I think your parents brought you here illegally, and now my tax dollars are paying for you to sit in a chair and butcher the English language. She straightened up and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. Why don't you do us all a favor and go back to whatever village you came from? I bit my tongue and kept holding back my tears. She patted my head like I was a dog. That's what I thought. You have nothing to say because you know I'm right. She looked at the class. Someone else read. She's not capable of basic human speech. A chair scraped hard against the floor in the back of the room. I looked up and it was Jeremy, the class clown who had imitated my accent at least a dozen times since I transferred here. He would repeat things I said in an exaggerated voice and make the whole class laugh. He stood up without saying a word and started walking toward the door. The substitute called after him. Excuse me, where do you think you're going? Jeremy didn't answer. He just walked out and the door slammed behind him. The substitute rolled her eyes. Well, he's getting detention. Does anyone want to join him? Nobody moved. She pointed at another student. You, read. I kept my head down and tried to make myself as small as possible. A few minutes later, the door opened and Jeremy walked back in with Principal Kind right behind him. The substitute smiled. Can I help you? Jeremy answered before the principal could. Yeah, you can start packing your stuff. The substitute's smile disappeared. Excuse me? Principal Kind stepped forward. I need you to come with me. Now. The substitute laughed nervously. I'm in the middle of a lesson. Jeremy walked toward her. No, you're in the middle of a hate crime. The substitute looked at Principal Kind. Are you going to let him talk to me like that? Principal Kind didn't blink. Yeah, and I'm going to let him say it again in front of the school board. The substitute's face went white. Jeremy stopped right in front of her desk. You asked her where she's from? Let me ask you something. Where are you going to work after this? The answer is nowhere. The substitute grabbed her bag with shaking hands and walked out without looking at anyone. Jeremy walked over and sat down in the empty seat next to mine. He was quiet for a second and then he said, making fun of you was one thing. That was something else. His voice got quieter. I'm sorry for